This is baseball night in America, and we are right in the middle of America. St. Louis, Missouri, in downtown St. Louis, Busch Stadium. Tonight, the good matchup. It's been so fun to watch in October's past. The San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. That is the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. And while the Giants won here last night 5-1 behind a good starting pitching performance from Johnny Cueto, that's really been the key to their success. The top three in their rotation has been fantastic.
It has, and it's an even year, so you would think they're poised to go back to the World Series. And what they did, they tried to get Greinke in the offseason, but what they did is they got two pitchers for the price of one, and they got Samardzija and Cueto. The big three have been unbelievable. They're carrying the staff. You see the numbers, 27 and 8, but they're pitching deep into the game. They're giving Bruce Bochy options that the bullpen can be rest, and that's a recipe for success.
We'll stay with the theme and switch it over to St. Louis. Their big three really has not been good so far, and while they're scoring a lot of runs, the guys they're counting on to win games in their rotation, it hasn't happened so far.
No, it's really a flip of the script. If you think about last year, they're all of baseball. They had the best ERA, and what they need, Adam Wainwright's turned the corner, coming back from that Achilles injury. Carlos Martinez had a nice start, but they've got to get Michael Wacha going. If they get Michael Wacha going and he pitches a gem tonight, the feeling's going to be that's the recipe for the Cardinals to make their move into the playoffs. I like their chances. They have to pitch better to be successful.
Well, we'll see how Michael Wacha gets along here tonight. He is coming off a pretty strong start against Washington. Did not get the win. It happened last Sunday in a game that ended up as a blowout, 10-2. But he came out of that start more encouraged. We'll see if he can build on that here tonight against the red-hot San Francisco Giants. 35-22, 5.5 up on the Dodgers in the NL West. Take a look at the Lowe's pitcher profile. The first four starts very good for Michael Wacha since he's looking for his first win, and that ERA is above 6.
Yeah, he's got to get that fastball down in the zone, command it. He's got to have that curveball working. His changeup's a weapon, but if the hitters don't see the command of the fastball, they don't respect the secondary stuff. And he would love to get that feeling of a win again. This is a young pitcher with a lot of promise, but he's going the wrong way currently in that 6-game losing streak.
He is a 25-year-old on July the 1st. An all-star last year. The lineup he'll be dealing with by the Giants and put together by Bruce Bochy, and he has to figure it out without Hunter Pence, their outstanding right fielder, who tore his hamstring. Span, Panic, Duffy. In the middle, it's Posey, Belt, and Crawford. And at the back end, Blanco, Parker, young outfielder they've called up, and Samardzija pitching and batting ninth. Here is Denard Span, and while you talk about all the money that the Giants spent on their starting rotation, tonight's starter and Cueto during the offseason, this was a big addition as well. Denard Span. And the first pitch of the night is upstairs for ball one.
Well, this is a team that Michael Wacha's facing does not strike out a lot. Pretty patient. They work the count. They get walks, but they selectively are aggressive and make you pay for bad location.
There's a strike from Wacha. Michael last year a 17-game winner. He was 0-1 in the division series against the Chicago Cubs. And Giants fans remember a pitch he threw to Travis Ishikawa that ended the NLCS 2 years ago in 2014. He's missed high with 2 pitches. The count 2-1 on Span, who is hitting .262. Gold Glover, Yadier Molina flashes the sign, and here's a drive deep into right, but pulled foul to even the count 2-2. Defensively, you don't know what you're going to get from the Cardinals day in and day out because there are a lot of moving parts to this lineup. Tonight it's Holiday in left, Piscotty in center, and Brandon Moss in right, with Carpenter, Diaz, Wong, and Adams on the infield, and Molina, who rarely gets a day off behind the plate, catching Wacha. 2-2 pitch is down and in, a full count to start Wacha's night.
Well, a lot of people have made notice to the lack of defense that we're all accustomed to seeing the St. Louis Cardinals have. But manager Mike Matheny thinks it is getting much better since the start of the year. Progress is made. They've increased their range.
3-2 pitch is high for a leadoff walk. And if Mike Matheny came into this game wanting to see command of the fastball and command at the bottom part of the strike zone with the fastball. He can't be happy with that leadoff walk. All those pitches missed up.
Yeah, and that's the one thing out of the stretch. Maybe he can condense his mechanics. Derek Lopez, they've been working on trying to get his arm and timing, getting that ball in a downward plane, because he's 6'6" or beyond with that stride length, and he gets on the hitters down in the zone very effectively.
There's a breaking ball that spins in for strike one to Joe Panik. So start to the year for Panik, a guy who we have said in the past, and I say we, I've worked with 10 guys it seems like to my right over the last couple of years, but this is somebody who handles the bat well enough that someday you think he might challenge for a batting title, but hitting just .246 to start the year.
Yeah, what he has is a short compact stroke. He lets the power of the pitcher do the work for him. He doesn't expand the zone. He's had a couple injuries in the last year, but the one thing he is perfect last name. It never panics. He never seems to be out of sorts. A nice compact stroke.
Here's one down the right field line. Fair ball. Span is off to the races, digging for third. Brandon Moss over to get to it. Throw home. Span safe. Throw to third. Out is Panik in a 1-0 game. Moss dug it out of the corner. They did not get the runner at the plate, but Yadier Molina got Panik trying to stretch it to third as the first out happens at third base.
Yeah, you see a little bit of a hanging changeup, and he stays back just enough to hook it over the first baseman Adams. And I'll tell you, this play coming up, what Panik would love to have this back, because it's hard to read as a runner who's coming across thinking the throw is going to be at the plate, and the only way you go to third is you think it's close enough to draw that throw. Good execution by the Cardinals.
Well, we are in a bit of a holding pattern here, because the Giants are going to see, and they're going to ask Sean Dunston, who is in charge of their replay in the clubhouse, if this is something they want to challenge. Meanwhile, the game is at a standstill, and the answer is they will not challenge it. Talking about the play at third base as Panik was thrown out by Molina. It's an RBI double, then the put out at third. Bases are empty for Duffy, and here's the end of the play.
Yeah, the ball beat him pretty quickly. It was just a little bit of a slower tag for Matt Carpenter.
Duffy takes a strike.
Now that's the fastball right there at 92 to 94. He has to be low in the zone, and he needs the umpire to cooperate, because then the hitter has to respond to the changeup.
That one's down, 1 ball, 1 strike. You saw the splits home and road for Matt Duffy. It's just hard to explain. 353 at home, 130 on the road for a guy who is playing in his 176th consecutive game, and that's about a 57-footer for ball 2.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of the problem. When a pitcher is out of sorts and trying to force the ball in an area, you know he's not comfortable with his mechanics. He's a north and south pitcher, and what I mean is that he's straight over the top, and this fastball is pretty straight, so he has to be more precise with it.
High fly ball into left. Duffy just got under it. Holiday will have room, and on the track hauls in out number 2. And Duffy would like to have that pitch back. Base is empty for Posey coming up. Here's the pitch, John.
Yeah, fastball's supposed to be away, but watch where it goes. See, that's the problem. When you leak and you don't have a lot of movement and you rely on the velocity and placement, you see Walker almost right there going, no. But it stayed in the park and got an out of it.
Here is Posey, and there is a fly ball into shallow right. Moss coming to get it. It's a quick run for the Giants, thanks to a leadoff walk and an RBI double by Joe Panik. Cardinals coming up against Jeff Samardzija, 1-0 Giants. Guy of the season, 1-0 Giants on top. Here's Mike Matheny's Cardinal lineup. Matt Carpenter leads it off. Then Aledmys Diaz bats second. The rookie is hitting .321. Matt Holliday is batting third. Piscotty, Adams, and Moss in the middle. Yadier Molina batting seventh. Colton Wong was on the bench last night, hitting .225, and he's got to kick it into gear or lose playing time. And Michael Wacha pitches and bats ninth. Here is Jeff Samardzija and the Lowe's pitcher profile for the Giants right-hander.
Yeah, you see that number increase of the ERA, and Samardzija loves now pitching with a new team, spacious ballpark at home, but they fixed a couple things that were troublesome for him last year.
Spins away, then spins it home and misses up and away to Matt Carpenter.
One of those things was he was tipping pitches, and he was doing some things mechanically that were limiting him from being as successful as he needs. He's got a great arm, fastball, split, slider, and a cutter. Relies heavily on the cutter and slider.
That's in for a strike.
But the one thing you never want to hear as a pitcher, you never want to hear, hey, you're tipping your pitches. Because anything you give the hitter an advantage to kind of, at least if nothing else, eliminate a couple pitches, boy, that puts the advantage right back to the hitter that you don't, as a pitcher, ever want to have him have.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. And just to explain, when you say tipping your pitchers, there's something that you're not even aware of on the mound, whether it's how you hold your glove or how you start your motion, depending on what type pitch you're going to throw, that gives the hitter an idea of what's coming his way.
Absolutely. It can be the glove, it could be your hands, it could be the way you're taking signs.
That catches the outside corner, 2-2.
So, for example, you may go faster on one pitch, slower on the other, and if a hitter has always got somebody designated in the dugout looking, coach is looking, they're always trying to pick up what a pitcher may give away, and then you can relay those signs, and if not, a hitter can see it in the box. The perfect scenario for a hitter is if he can see it himself.
Here's a 2-2. Carpenter grounds it foul. While we have a moment and we reset, we'll give you the keys to the game, sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company.
Well, for the Giants, just pretend it's May. I mean, a historic May. They've won 61 games over the last 3 Mays, so don't change anything if you could. They hate the calendar to change. And then it's simple. Wacha needs a gem. He gave up a run in the first inning. He's still got a chance to recover and pitch deep in the game. He's got to get back what he had a few years ago for the Cardinals.
So good in the postseason back in 2013 as a rookie. Go through those numbers later. 2-2 pitch, struck him out. Carpenter is gone to start the night. And Samardzija begins his evening with a K.
Yeah, that's that split finger fastball, and it's pretty darn good when he controls his fastball. He's got a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer, and you see the bottom drop out. When he rotates, a la Louis Tiant, he can have a tendency to over-rotate. Right now he looks real patient with his delivery, and when he's throwing strikes, the hitters are in a little bit more trouble because they know they got 4 pitches they got to look after.
Coming off his shortest start with regard to innings in this his first year with the Giants. Here's Diaz, the hot-hitting rookie, takes a strike. A 5-inning effort, allowed 5 runs and a 5-3 loss Monday in Atlanta. Aledmys Diaz leads all rookies in batting average in 2016, and this has come out of nowhere. That misses down and in, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that start you were talking about Atlanta, they had a long game in Colorado, came west to east, and had a day game in Atlanta, so they got into wee hours of the morning. It's always a downside of not only where San Francisco has to travel from, but the schedule.
Here's one out in front of the plate. Samardzija gets to it and gets the out. Good play by Samardzija, who is clearly a terrific athlete. He's a big guy, 6'5", 225. But his last year at Notre Dame as a receiver had over 1,200 receiving yards and 15 touchdowns. He picked the right sport with the money he's made, but he can move for a big guy.
Yeah, he almost made this a little tougher for Belt, because you see Belt had the runner coming in. Sometimes that ball can get lost between the pitcher and the runner, but he got it enough time to get the out.
So with the bases empty, Matt Holliday will dig in. Off to a .258 start, but 9 home runs. That's been a pleasant surprise for St. Louis. Breaking ball misses, ball 1.
Yeah, he's been pretty. The front 3 hitters have been pretty hot their last 7 games. It's the bottom of the order that needs to get going for the Cardinals, who have scored a ton of runs. not only on the year, but in the month of May as well.
1-0 pitch is down again, 2-0. As you said, though, the Cardinals have scored runs in bunches.
Yeah.
So when you talk about run differential, and they've been so good in that department, okay, they're third in the big leagues in runs per game, but some blowout wins have inflated those numbers. That's fouled back to the screen. The count 2-1.
Yeah, the recipe for success, they're winning at about a 7.7 run per game clip, and then it's down below 2 when they don't win those games. And the one thing that the depth they have and the choices they're having to make, Peralta coming back soon, it's a good problem to have, but the fastest fix to their season will be their starting rotation.
With the bases empty and 2 out, a 2-1 pitch to Holiday is right in for strike 2 at 96 from Jeff Samardzija. Jeff was an all-star the year he got traded from the Cubs to the A's. Couldn't participate in the all-star game in 2014. Last year with the White Sox. Became a free agent, signed on with the Giants, and thrilled that he did that. 2-2 pitch is low, a full count. Holiday trying to get on in front of Stephen Piscotty, young right-handed hitter who was so impressive at the end of last year, and he has settled into the cleanup spot for Mike Matheny. Full count pitch. Base hit right field. And Holiday gets just his 5th hit against Samardzija and now 21 at bats. Keeps getting alive for Piscotty. The Cardinals came into this season having let Jason Hayward go. He's now with the Chicago Cubs. He's off to a terrible start. Hitting just .228 at the start of the day. 2 homers, 19 RBIs, and more strikeouts than hits. In essence, wanted to clear room for Piscotty. And he's off to a very good start, but he pops this up. Into shallow right, glasses on his face. Parker comes in to make the play, and after 1. In St. Louis, an RBI by Joe Panik. A beautiful night in the Midwest, 1-0. San Francisco on top. By Chevrolet. Find new roads. The rivers. The mighty Mississippi. Brandon Belt fouls it away left side. It was a young Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo and Anthony Michael Hall and his sister Audrey in the movie Vacation, who made their way across that river, only to see the Wagon Queen family truckster defaced when they made a wrong turn in downtown St. Louis. Ground ball to the right side, and the play made by Adams. One out here in the second with the Giants up 1-0.
You know, Waka has some reverse splits, and typically it's the reason of his repertoire that gives him a decided advantage over left-handers than right-handers. You would typically be dominant on your arm side against right-handers, but he has nothing going away from right-handers, so he relies more on that fastball and curveball. That's a 12-6. At least against left-handers, he has that fastball changeup which fades. And if you can get that curveball over, much like Adam Wainwright, I consider these two guys a clone. It gives him an extra weapon against the hitters that he doesn't have because he doesn't have a slider.
Crawford comes up empty, a ball and a strike.
And there's that changeup right there. So for Michael Wacha, he's trying to figure out how he can get more consistent with that fastball. But more importantly, he's going to have to be better against his dominant side hitting right-handed batters.
1-1 pitch is smoked into right center field. That ball will get down. Piscotty over to cut it off. Digging for second, Crawford, and he's in hand first with a one-out double. That ball was crunched by Brandon Crawford, one of the most productive hitting shortstops in the game today.
And again, this will be the theme. It's location. He's given up a lot of extra base hits. 21 doubles coming into today, and we're not even 1/3 of the way into the season. So that tells me that location out over the plate, and the hitters are able to get the gaps, and like we saw in the first inning, hit it down the line.
Here's Gregor Blanco, who's been a really nice piece for Bruce Bochy over the years. Breaking ball misses, down and in, ball one. Blanco has found himself on the lineup card quite a bit. Last year, injuries to Angel Pagan and to Hunter Pence, who is out now for at least 2 months with a torn right hamstring. Blanco is on the disabled list with a bad hamstring himself. He's about, according to Bruce Bochy before tonight's game, 8, 9, 10 days away. There's Pence. And the numbers are pretty revealing as to how much the San Francisco Giants rely on Hunter Pence. As you look at the entire injury list, Kane is on the DL with a hamstring as well. That's a strike, and the count 2-1.
And you know, Pence does a lot more than just the obvious numbers. He is that heartbeat in the clubhouse. He keeps him loose, and now he's going to be gone for quite some time because he's going to spend most of his rehab in Arizona. And they could sorely use him back, even if he's not able to play, for some kind of leadership and just the way he fires everybody up.
That's a strike, and Blanco now with a count even at 2-2. Ken Rosenthal is with us down on the field. And Kenny, how do the Giants go about trying to replace Hunter Pence?
Well, it's an interesting question, Joe, because without him, they are way too left-handed in their lineup. I spoke with their GM, Bobby Evans, yesterday, and he said that there are some options out there externally that are attractive to him, guys on other teams. But with Pence out 6 to 8 weeks, the Giants don't want to go too crazy with what they would pay in terms of prospects. So a guy like Jeff Francoeur, someone along those lines, a veteran stopgap, could make sense. Keep in mind, too, the Giants are going to need bullpen help, and that might be where they pay their biggest price.
They're the numbers since last year, and pretty staggering. 7 under without Pence and way over the 500 mark with Hunter in their lineup. Foul ball by Blanco while Kenny was talking. Now another 2-2 is fouled again.
Well, the amazing thing about baseball is you can real easy get in the glass half full or glass half empty. I mean, depending on what you look at and how you look at the team. And I think the one argument would be, yeah, they're in first place. They've done it with pitching, and they haven't really gotten hot at the plate. Guys like Duffy, Panic, Posey, those three guys. Bruce Bochy said if they just have average years, there's how we make up for it right now from this point moving forward.
2-2 pitch is hit in the air to right center field. Moss is fighting the sun. He's got it for out number 2. In case you didn't see it or aren't aware, Wednesday night, here is Hunter Pence going down the line and going all out as he always does. Somebody who rarely missed a game, if at all. Had a rough year on the DL 3 times last year, and now he's got a torn hamstring in 2016. One of the guys that is trying to replace him right now is at the plate, Jared Parker, who is 27 years old, a late developer, but he's got plenty of pop. Good athlete, second-round pick out of the University of Virginia. Came up last September, popped 6 home runs, and he has a chance here with 2 out. And Crawford at second, ball 1.
Well, he's also hitting one of the toughest spots, even though he's an older guy, a younger player in the big leagues. He's got the pitcher behind him, so he has to guess what kind of game they're playing. Do they want to pitch to me? Am I going to get a pitch? Do I sit on an off-speed pitch? Toughest place to hit in the National League.
That's down to make it 2-0. Mentioned the record-setting May. 21 wins by the Giants, which opened up their lead in the West. Now the Cardinals will just put Jared Parker on and take their chances with Samardzija. An intentional pass here for 2 on, 2 out. There's ball 4. The 21 wins tied for the most the Giants have had in any month since the organization moved out to California from New York in 1958. They're the first team since 31 to win 20 more games in May 3 straight years.
It's pretty amazing because even as early as May 10th, they were 17-18. So after May 10th, they go 16-3 and are rolling.
Samardzija gets a base hit into right. Moss will come up throwing. Here comes Crawford to the plate. Throw cut off. It's 2-0. And Samardzija delivers a base hit into right, and the troubles continue for Wacha.
Yeah, this was a hanger right here, and you can't throw this pitch up there and just not have the bite. You could see he might even have jammed himself trying to go the other way, and getting the barrel of the bat on the ball was good enough. 2 outs, the runner gets a go on the crack of the bat, so easily scores. And that's a crusher right there. That's where your momentum and your confidence meter just goes way down for Michael Wacha, because you go, oh no, here we go again. I've been stuck in this for the last 7 games.
First and third now, 2 outs. Span, who led off with a walk and scored a run last inning, takes a strike. Well, it's worth repeating as you watch Wacha give up the 2-out RBI hit to Samardzija. If Wacha doesn't pitch like the Cardinals expect him to, it's going to be really difficult for the Cardinals to end up in the postseason, albeit most likely as a wild card. Here's a fly ball into right. Back is Moss, and in front of the track ends the inning. But a 2-out RBI hit for Samardzija, his 6th RBI of the season. Gives that big right-hander a 2-0 lead after an inning and a half in St. Louis. Samsung and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Well, it all starts here. The 2016 Major League Baseball draft coverage begins at 6 Eastern Thursday on MLB Network and MLB.com. June 9th, a big day in a lot of young men's lives that are good enough to get drafted by major league organizations, and you can catch it all on MLB Network as Matt Adams leads it off. 2-0 Giants. Strike one inside corner. Talked about Samardzij's time at Notre Dame playing wide receiver. A big-bodied one at that. 6'5", 225. Had that great last year. Adams hits it right into the shift with Panic in shallow right. One out. And it was Samardzij getting drafted by the Cubs. Jeff played for Tyrone Willingham and Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss said, "So you get a guaranteed contract to play baseball? Take the guaranteed contract," and it was a wise choice.
Yeah, it was, and certainly everybody's so concerned these days about mileage on the arms, and well, his is still relatively fresh, and he's got a live one at that.
Just 31 years old, missing with ball one to Brandon Moss.
He did have to pay his dues and go through some pretty tough hard luck losing seasons, and last year pitched a ton of innings with a high ERA, which is a rare commodity. You usually don't see that, so he had a lot of strange games last year.
Good pitch, tied up Moss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that innings pitch is such a big deal when you think about the San Francisco Giants. It's an inside fastball that explodes in on Moss.
Here's a 1-1. Strike 2.
And so for the way the game works, no player's ever going to admit it, and I can admit it now because I'm not a player anymore. But the way the game goes in streaks, and we're, obviously enough in the season where you are what you are. Your baseball team simply can be defined as, do you have the edges? Do somebody fear something, some part of your club? Because you've got to have that. The Cubs got a lot of that going on right now. But the other thing is, the thing that guys won't admit is the confidence factor of certain guys on the mound or at the plate. When some guys get on the mound and not having a good year, they go, oh boy, we got to score some runs today. You're never going to hear him admit it, but the body language is the streak or the stretch that he's been on means we've got to score runs.
Here's one into right. That ball's going to drop for a 1-out base hit. Moss is on here in the second.
Now the flip side of that is when you got 3 guys rolling like the Giants, they basically know we only got to get 2 or 3 runs and this game could be over, and that's how good they're going. So it works both sides, and the same thing with the guy at a plate. If he's in a bad stretch, you don't feel that confidence. It doesn't mean you can't get out of it, but the game is strange, and this has been a very streaky season already for the Giants. A bunch of winning streaks and already 2 losing streaks of 5 games, yet they're in first place.
When you think about what they do in 2-run games, they're 19-11. Yadier Molina stands in. He is in a serious tailspin. Yadier Molina with a bat. Strike 1 as Samardzij gets it past him. Cardinals have not been able to win low-scoring games. The Giants, because of the pitching of Cueto, Samardzij, and Bumgarner, have. They're getting just enough out of their bullpen. Molina takes outside, a ball and a strike.
I'm not used to seeing Molina with that little guard there over left side of his face. But when you say he's struggling, you are right on. He is in a really bad stretch. Playing a ton of games as he normally does, catching a ton of innings.
6 for his last 61. Here's a double play ball to second. Panic. Crawford got them both. And the streak continues for Yadier Molina, and the frustration really mounting for the Cardinal All-Star catcher. We'll be back in a 2-0 game after this from our local sponsors. At the ballpark at Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis, and it's a bobblehead. It's a multi-person bobblehead thing with Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina at that moment after Wainwright. Here's Panic flying one into right, and Brandon Moss looking directly into the sun has it, one out. That moment that Wainwright snapped off that beautiful curveball to strike out an eventual teammate in Carlos Beltran to end the LCS in 2006. Here is Adam Wainwright. That's a long time ago, Adam.
It is a long time ago. I need some new moments.
Well, you've had plenty. You've had plenty since then. I know you didn't get the win last night, but you've got to be thrilled with how you threw the ball.
Well, I'm thrilled with the progress I've made. And, you know, as hard as it is, sometimes you have to take the game for what it is. You can't make 7 adjustments during one game sometimes. Sometimes it takes, you know, a couple adjustments here, a couple adjustments there until you finally reach your end goal. And that's not the way I wanted it to happen. And
here's a fly ball from Moss. He's got the first 2 of the inning. Go ahead, Adam.
It's not the way I wanted it to happen. Of course, I wanted to go out there and throw nothing but zeros from the very first game of the year on, but that's not the way it happened. And I'm where I am because of the games I pitched before in the beginning of this season. But I know one thing for sure: my stuff is back, and I'm starting to hone it. And it's a lot more fun out there when you're missing barrels and you're getting outs, quick outs, and you're going deeper into the game. Yeah. Nobody likes pitching 4 or 5 innings, grinding your face off every time they give up, you know, 3 or 4 and hope your offense goes off.
Buster Posey digs in against Michael Wacha, who's struggling to find it right now. I would imagine your history and your abilities in the game of golf, Adam, help some of that, making adjustments, because you can't stand over a golf ball thinking 7 different swing thoughts either.
It's a great analogy. Is a great golfer like yourself would always point that out. But I think it is a great analogy because it's very hard this game to play as it is, even when everything's locked in. These hitters are very, very good. And so as pitchers, what we can do is go out there and work our tails off in between starts to get our bodies and our deliveries into the right position to where when we go out there, we can have maybe 1 or 2 keys during the course of a game where we can make an in-game adjustment. But those times in between, the practice sessions, those are absolutely huge to be able to make those multiple 3 or 4 or 5, 6 adjustments that unfortunately I had to make.
Well, probably won't get this in with 2 strikes and 2 outs, but I think the hardest thing for an athlete, you made coming back from your Achilles injury look so incredible that people expected that you never were hurt. And that's a process that you have had to go through, and you can't say anything about it, but people expected you to be locked in.
Yeah, that's right. And you don't want to use it as an excuse, though. You know, you want to go out there and give it all you have for your team. And luckily, I'm to the point now where I'm almost 100% back. So.
Hey, can you stick around for 1 more sec?
Let's do it.
All right, good. 2-0 into the bottom of the 3rd. Cardinals coming to bat in St. Louis. Jeff Samardzija back to the hill. 2-0 Giants lead. Bottom of the third inning. Colton Wong trying to find his stroke. Takes a strike at the knees. He'll be followed by Michael Wacha, then Matt Carpenter. For the Cardinals, who are a game over 500. Taking on the Giants, who are in first place in the West. 13 over. That misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're still joined by Adam Wainwright only because I want to ask Adam if he's happy with his bobblehead. And I'm just anxious to hear. 1 ball, 1 strike as Wong is jammed, fouls it. Duffy makes a tremendous play. Unbelievable. Matt Duffy with a slide and a catch. And the fans here in St. Louis applaud that effort. 1 out, nobody on, as this foul was somehow reached by Duffy, the third baseman.
A great play, sliding right there in between that. You worry about that jam knee or ankle. He did an incredible job in getting to that ball.
Adam, the teeth on your bobblehead are spectacular.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of the things they got right, for sure.
It's like Matt Dillon in Something About Mary.
Great teeth. Yeah, great teeth. I think they usually do a pretty good job with those bobbleheads. Thank you, Jed Jerko.
Is Jerko messing with you down there?
He knows better. He should know better, huh?
I mean, come on. The new guy can't pick on the stalwart down there.
He likes to tell people he owns me because he's 3 for 6 with a blooper and 2 broken bat hits.
Okay. Well, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah. That's right.
So tell us real quick with the guy at the plate. I know you're so close to Michael Wacha. What he's got to do to get it back together.
Well, I think when you're talking about Michael, the one thing that you obviously see when he's struggling is his fastball command is off. And when he's painting his fastball down the corners, he has such tremendous tilt. He throws the ball straight downhill. It's very hard to square for a hitter. And when he starts doing that, then they have to be ready to swing.
He might have one here.
Yes, sir, indeed.
We see your nemesis, Jed Jerko, reacting to that infield blazing base hit by Wacha. Well, that's his first of the year.
Starting pitchers are the best athletes on the field. You know that. It's,
yeah.
We've been telling him, just get your first something. Get something up there, because he didn't have a walk, a hit, or anything. So just get your first something. So he's on there now.
He's 1 for 20, Michael Wacha, and he had to do a 90-foot sprint to get it.
Well, I got to ask you, Adam, because you and your organization and the Giants have a special culture, and we all know about what has been created over here in St. Louis, and it was new to me when I came over here. But when did it start? I know you were here in 05, but when did it start where all the pitchers go down for the bullpen sessions? Was that from the very beginning?
That was something that, if I'm not mistaken, Pat Hinkin and Darryl Kyle brought over here years back. Is that, you know, that they noticed that as a starting staff they could have been more together. They could have been more one as a unit. And so they said, you know, we're going to start spending more time together. We're going to go out for show dinners a lot. We're going to spend time watching each other's bullpens, getting to know each other really, really well, learning their stuff. That way you can talk pitching. You can talk shop all the time. And I can tell you, being a part of that, there's some special things that have gone on. A lot of times, you know, it's in the middle of your workout. You don't want to go down there. You've got something else going, but you get down there and you end up talking about who you're going to face next and how that pitcher's got him out beforehand. There's been some really cool conversations that have come out of it. I full and 100% buy into the whole fact that, you know, as a team, if you're going to be a team, you got to be a team all the time. It's go out there. I hear Kevin Millar say it all the time. You got to have those show dinners. You got to have those dinners where you go out on the road and you're together and you get a little loose and have some fun. And you got to talk shop. You know, that's where the relationships get deeper. That's when guys are really doing life together. They want to pull for each other harder. They want to play harder for each other, and that's what we try to incorporate here.
Well, I know we did it by accident in Atlanta, but it wasn't a mandate. That's why it was so neat to come over here. And in my very first bullpen in San Diego, you guys helped me at the latter part of my career by telling me I had been tipping pitches.
Yeah, you were a tipper. Big tipper.
Well, it sure did help.
I mean, just imagine if you hadn't been tipping for 20 years, you might have been a Hall of Famer or something.
Here's strike 3 called. Carpenter strikes out for the second time, and he didn't like the call by the home plate umpire, Marvin Hudson. We'll take another look at That last one to Carpenter. Pretty good looking pitch.
Yeah, I think you'll see that on replay when he gets a chance to look at it. Pain away.
So 1 on 2 out, and Aledmus Diaz steps in. This guy's come out of nowhere, Adam Wainwright. He's been something with a bat.
Yeah, we knew he was a solid player. We just had no idea he was this talented with the bat. We knew he was a good hitter, a solid hitter, but we had never seen him in person. In this spring training, when Johnny got hurt towards the end part of spring training, you know, he got his chance. And golly, if he didn't make the most of it, he just took it and ran with it. And I mean, I think for a while there he was leading the league, you know, pretty significantly, and you couldn't get him out. But he brings such a solid bat to the table. He has a good idea of the strike zone. He can drive the ball to all fields, and he hits all the pitches. So it's very tough.
Got 7 home runs, which is to go with a .321 average as he takes his first trip through this league is impressive. And according to Mike Matheny, his manager, his defense, he's starting to get a lot more confident in the field, which means he will really take off. Here's a pop-up out behind second. Adam, you're off the hook. Denard Span hauls it in. 2-0 after 3. Adam Wainwright, thanks for the visit.
I enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, right-hander Adam Wainwright. Let's go to the 4th inning in St. Louis. 2-0, Giants lead it. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the Lincoln Motor Company and the exhilarating new Lincoln MKZ. Can't wait for the 16th of June. That's when the U.S. Open begins. It ends on Father's Day, the 19th. Oakmont, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Oakmont Country Club. On the air beginning at FS1 on June 16th, continuing on the network all the way through the 19th. It'll be the 9th time that Oakmont has hosted. There's a reason for that. It's really hard. That's the reason. The lowest U.S. Open round at Oakmont, the historic 63 by Johnny Miller in the final round in 73. 5 over, a 285 by Angel Cabrera won it in 2007. And when Jordan Spieth was quoted after he got a look at it at the end of May, he said, "I'll sign up right now for even par." And if you can give me even par, I'll take that, and I'll take my chances. And if +5 won it in 07, I'm saying, we talked about this last week, I'm saying it's more than +5.
It's the only time of the year, really, where average golfers around the country get to feel pretty special.
Watching the best in the world struggle.
Yeah, it's the only time, really. I mean, I know the majors have the similar effect, but the U.S. Open historically is the toughest.
That last note on the graphic is Curtis Strange is the last to win the U.S. Open back-to-back years. Spieth will try to do that in 2016 as Belt flies it into left. Holiday over near that side wall, can't get to it, but a foul ball. As Holiday couldn't make the catch, and Brandon Belt has life leading off here in the 4th inning. I'm just going to make the point that Curtis Strange is joining our broadcast team, and he will be following the final grouping on Sunday. Got a chance to work with him at Wingfoot with Paul Azinger and Brad Faxon, and it was a treat. So can't wait to get Curtis Strange talking about the U.S. Open on Fox Airwaves.
Well, if that wall could talk, I bet you it was saying, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Don't hit me.
Matt Holliday's big enough to make a wall yell. That's fouled out of play left side. Although Holiday's a lot smaller than he was even last year. He has dropped some size and some weight. Last year he had 2 quad pulls. It cost him a lot of time. And as he is getting on in years in this league, he determined he was getting too big. That is down in the count 2-2.
Yeah, that was painful to watch, along with Matt Adams on a similar injury. Take you out for a while, but man, to think Matt Holliday was one of the premier up-and-coming quarterbacks.
You'd think middle linebacker,
yeah.
tight end, but quarterback. Here is a pitch that just missed, and a full count now on Belt.
Yeah, good pitch over the middle of the plate. Kind of, he's set up in, but watch him catch it. That's all I could say.
As a former pitcher, Hall of Fame pitcher at that. 3-2 is swung on and missed as Wacha fooled Belt. First strikeout of the game for Michael Wacha.
Well, this is the formula. When he can throw his fastball down, see, that has the effect for the changeup. The hitter has to respect that he's going to throw a fastball on a 3-2 count, and he throws that fading changeup. When he's down, he is very good, and when he's not, it is shown in his numbers. The hitter has an advantage. We talked with Adam Wainwright. He talked about that tilt, and that tilt at 6'7" or 6, Michael Wacha, that front shoulder is key. You see how that front shoulder stays quiet and level. When he raises up or arches, that's when the over the head delivery gets a little bit out of whack and the ball goes up. So when his front side is quiet and it doesn't lift up, he's down. Easier said than done, because you're trying to make sure as a pitcher. So here's that front side is so important. It's your sight. It's everything that your right side will follow. And if you put your foot down, you get those results. Similar to a hitter. Same thing. Got to get the foot down, and all the mechanics work and swinging the bat. And some guys make it look a lot easier, obviously, than others.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Wacha's settled in a bit now. He's retired 5 straight. Just struck out Belt. Here's one into the gap in left center. Crawford doubled his first time. He's got at least that here. He'll think about 3, turns hard, and will go. Throw by Diaz into third, too late. It's a triple. It gets away, but not far enough, and Crawford's 90 feet away with 1 out.
I got to believe this triple's right out of the box. He knows it's going to be a hit, right? And so he takes off and completely splits the outfielders. The only way you get a triple is you make that a priority right when you take off. And he didn't miss a beat, touches all the corners. Picks up his third base coach right there, right about. No, he doesn't. Just says, I'm going to go. Thought for sure he would have picked up his third base coach, but he had it on his mind he was going to make it to third.
Blanco now will have the luxury of hitting with the infield in. Runner at third, 1 out, and Gregor Blanco fly to right as everybody in his grill. Ball 1 up.
This is it's pretty much where the Giants excel. Their philosophy as a team, it just doesn't get much better than what they do when they get an opportunity to drive in a run.
Last night they were willing to put on a safety squeeze. Here the count goes to 2-0, and that was with Duffy at the plate.
It's just indefensible, and people just don't take advantage of it like they should.
That's the way Bruce Bochy decided to go last night, knowing the runs have been at times hard to come by. And none of the three from Waka have been close. So right after you think he's settled in, here's last night with Duffy up, runners at the corners, and just a perfect bunt.
Yeah, you can't stop it. And guys just don't give up their ego. Look, with runners on third and less than 2 outs, the Giants are #1 in base in the National League at a .430 average and have scored 107 runs.
Here's one into left. Holiday will make the catch. Tagging is Crawford, and no chance. Sac fly into left by Blanco, and it's 3-0 Giants here in the fourth.
That's just team baseball. You get to third with less than 2 outs. You create a problem for the defense, and then you do your job and lift the ball up in the outfield. Holiday does not have a very good arm. They know that. And it seems easy when you're going good. Just 1 run here, 1 run there. Next thing you know, it's 3-0. And oh, by the way, your pitching staff's pretty good, the front 3 guys.
Yeah, and they have one of those guys, Samardzija, going tonight, and he has looked sharp here at the beginning. Here is Jarrett Parker. He takes a pitch high for ball 1. So all of a sudden the pitches are going up again from Waka. And how about Blanco swinging on 3-0, and he made it count. Good rip by Parker, a ball and a strike. He's a good player. He's a free agent to be, and he's basically said he's not interested in going anywhere else. And I guarantee if you talk to Bruce Bochy, he'll tell you he'd love to have that luxury of Gregor Blanco sticking with the Giants past 2016.
Yeah, I made that mistake too. I said I wasn't interested in going anywhere else. I'm glad I stayed, but kind of hurt my negotiations.
Here's a swinging strike to even the count at 2.
Yeah, so I would say you could feel it all you want. Feel it. Just don't say it. He's a good player. He started in Atlanta, came over to the Giants, and really has been there when they needed him.
2-2 off the end of the bat. Well, Bruce Bochy is signed through 2019. He'll be a Hall of Famer when he's finished. He's 61. He's in his 10th season with the Giants, a 3-time world champion manager, and such an asset in the dugout. So good with a bullpen and guiding this team. Full count now on Parker.
Well, you think how these two organizations have done it. They're real similar, right? They take their homegrown players and they build around them. They don't overhaul. They're not rebuilding from year to year. Giants did spend some money this year, but they don't do it every year.
That's strike 3. Tailing fastball from Waka for his second strikeout of the game and of the inning. But an RBI on a sac fly by Blanco makes it 3-0 Giants after 3½. They will lead it off. Heart of the order for St. Louis in a 3-0 game. Giants won here last night 5-1. They lead here 3-0. Holiday single to the right side his first time. And Samar just spins it home. We heard from Adam Wainwright an inning ago, and now we get to check in with one of our favorites, Jake Peavy from the Giants dugout. Hey, Jake.
What's going on, boys?
Hey, we're doing good up here. You got to be happy after your last start down in Atlanta. How'd that feel?
You know, it felt good. It was fun to go out. It's fun to get back down south where I'm from, getting that humidity and make the ball move a little bit.
You even took off and tried to maybe steal a base in that game. What's going on with you?
Just play of the game. We was trying to win there. It was a 0-0 game and trying to get to second base. Our good buddy Greg Maddox was the king of that move and taught me it some years ago and was trying it out there.
I saw you and John Smoltz talking before tonight's game. What were you two getting together about?
Look, what y'all don't realize is I grew up close to Atlanta and idolized John and that slider that he had for years and what those guys did and were able to accomplish in Atlanta. Now getting a chance to grow up and be a major leaguer and compete against John. John ruined some of my most special nights as a big leaguer throwing shutouts against me. And then to become buddies. And today I got to introduce my 15-year-old boy. So to just in a few days we'll be 15. Got to introduce him to one of my heroes growing up and took a picture together, and it's a special day for Daddy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Going against Peavy, you knew if you made a mistake or two. I think he had 16 strikeouts in 7 innings. And we just got lucky and ran into one.
And lost to the great John Smoltz. Good outing, kid.
Not that you two don't remember that kind of stuff.
I love it.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Holiday, and he steps out. 35 years old, your birthday the other night when you got the win. I was saying during the break, I can't believe you're only 35. I mean, that's credit to you. You came up as a baby.
I did. I had a chance. Had a good pitch there. The first out of the inning.
Go ahead
I
as
did.
Crawford takes care of Holiday.
You know, I got to come up as a young kid and got to be under Bruce Bochy and special leadership to grow up in the game and really appreciating the game. And us purists who are having trouble with the way some of today's game's going, but I really value my time and under Boch and then to get to see the league and come back full circle now as a 15-year veteran, and that seems crazy. I've had a blessed run, but like I told you guys in the break, I'm gonna play until they pull this uniform off me.
Batter now is Piscotty. He takes inside ball 1.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that because really the timing of when you came in the game allowed you to do the things you're doing. I don't know if it was 15 or 14 years removed, would you have the ability to adjust like you have? You've been able to pitch at all different levels, adjust, go through injuries, and not rely just on pure stuff like a lot of these young guys have today.
You know, that's as you guys see the second out of the inning there. Sharks got that sinker going. That's what we're going to work on there. Yeah, you know, there's no doubt as you grow, and you did it, John, and some of the guys I looked up to. I watched guys who came in the league have to grow and evolve with the game. The games are certainly times have changed, and it's a different game today. But I have tried to grow and evolve, and you know, look, a lot of people don't realize in 2010 I was told that I probably was never going to play again with this lat surgery. So I've been on borrowed time and trying to hang in there, enjoy every last minute that I have at this level. And like I said, I feel like I got a few good years still ahead of me.
Matt Adams at the plate, grounded out his first time, and in that same spot is Panic, shallow right, the second baseman. 2 out, nobody on. 3-0 Giants in the 4th. Samardzija, how good has Samardzija been?
He's been outstanding. You know, the 2 acquisitions of him and Cueto have really taken us to another level and having, you know, #1 caliber guys out there on a nightly basis. And Jeff's a tremendous competitor. We all know what kind of athlete he is, and I think putting the team concept around him that we have here in San Francisco has made him tremendous. Letting him work with one of the best catchers in the game. People watching this game, you're watching the 2 best go at it here in Buster Posey and Yadier Molina behind the plate. I think that's helped him. Jeff's going to have a great run here in San Francisco. We hope to get him a championship he wants.
Went through some down years in Chicago, not personally, but team-wise. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Adams. It's outside. 2-2. I don't know how to ask the question concisely, but the way this Giants organization is run, Jake, for somebody that's been around as long as you have and bounced around a little bit, you have to appreciate the stability within this organization. Not just Bochy, but the guys above him, ownership, what have you. It's a heck of a place.
It is. It's been a tremendous run, and can't say enough good things about this organization. Blessed to be a part of it. We're going to make a good run this year, hopefully.
Yeah, in first place by 5.5. Jake, thanks for the time. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
He gets the ball tomorrow against Martinez. 3-0 Giants after 4. Samardzija goes hacking at the first pitch and fouls it back. Jeff, an RBI single to right his first time. That was in the second, made it 2-0. It's now 3-0. Samardzija's allowed 3 hits by St. Louis, 3 singles, struck out 2. He has been impressive. 2 quick strikes from Michael Wacha. 5th inning underway. That is low for ball 1.
Well, he has been impressive, and I just want to wish Terry Collins good luck.
Oh, man.
On selecting the starters.
Here's a fly ball into left. Holiday is coming after it, 1 out. He's the manager for the National League in the upcoming All-Star game in San Diego. And the list of the starting pitchers,
it's unbelievable.
It's just overwhelming.
And there's going to be somebody and 2 or 3 that are deserving that cannot make it. But you talking about guys who could run the table from this point to the All-Star break. I mean, take your pick. Arrieta, Kershaw, Syndergaard, Strasburg, Cueto, Bumgarner. I mean, even Samardzija, if he continues to win out. Matz. It's the best I've seen in a long time from a, you know, I know some people out there want to kill the win, but since pitchers still have wins, it's pretty impressive. We still have undefeated pitchers at 9-0, and Strasburg finished the deal today. He was going today. Got a no decision. So
here is Span, 1 ball, 1 strike.
But it's going to be exciting to watch that arsenal. I mean, whoever it is, navigate through the American League All-Stars. Pitching is pretty heavy in the National League right now.
1-1 pitch. Span takes high. 2-1. Denard walked and scored his first time, then fly to right. Giants have scored in each inning except the 3rd when they went in order. Two-one pitch. 2-2.
Well, after talking with Peavy, you know, I think about this organization's both dugouts. They do things the right way. They start with marquee guys and they build around them. It started with Kane and Lincecum, and they added Bumgarner. They add pieces that they need to. But they got a lot of homegrown players, and the Cardinals do it the same way with I consider Wainwright a homegrown. I was so mad when we traded him from the Atlanta Braves.
Here's one into left field. Span has his first hit of the night. And one of those good free agent additions. Denard Span is on with one out here in the fifth.
Because I knew his motor, I knew what he was capable of doing, and obviously unproven young man, but he's been with the Cardinals. As we look at another pitch that just out over the plate, making it easier for the hitter. And he's been under the tutelage of Chris Carpenter, and then they keep added pieces. They've got so many homegrown players that their farm system has produced, and Michael Wacha, another one of those, Carlos Martinez, and they just keep doing that. They don't keep them all like an Albert Pujols or a Sandoval. They make tough decisions when they have to, but that's how you consistently win. That's why the Cardinals, the class organization that they are, have developed and made good choices in their drafts. The Giants, obviously 3 world championships in that run.
Panic now is fooled by Wacha's strike one. When you talk about the deal that got Wainwright to St. Louis from Atlanta, it was a deal that was pulled off by Walt Jocketty. Terrific run as general manager here in St. Louis. Now he's in Cincinnati trying to put that all back together. But it was a deal that brought Jason Marquis, Wainwright, and Ray King, 3 pitchers for J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero. Here's a fly ball into left. Holiday, a late break, won't get there. One hop out of play, and it's a ground rule double hit by Panic. And it's second and third, one out here in the 5th inning as the Giants have another scoring chance against Michael Wacha.
Yeah, just to finish that trade, we did not keep J.D. Drew past that year, and the Cardinals have been able to keep an Adam Wainwright. A pitch away that Panic doesn't do too much, and it slices away from Holiday. The ball carries pretty good. Easily bounces over the wall for a double. But a similar trade to the Texas Rangers, where 5 players for Mark Teixeira. The Texas Rangers benefited from some of those young players. And you see that on how organizations can benefit from those kind of moves.
Here's Duffy now. Infield is in, and this one gets away from Molina. And you can't tell me he's not worn out. That one gets away, and last night had a passed ball that allowed runners to advance, and it's 4-0 Giants here in the 5th.
Yeah, this has been a different look and feeling Cardinals team, right? Because certain things haven't gone the way they typically do. This is a guy that's the best in the business. Didn't get his glove turned around. Last night, the ball tipped off the top of his glove. 2-run score that normally will never score. Even though it was in the dirt, pitcher's going to get credited with that wild pitch.
So a run scores to make it 4-0 on the wild pitch. Duffy now flies one into right. Moss is over to give it a look, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. There's usually nobody better in the game than Yadier Molina. It's why he's won 8 straight Gold Gloves at getting down and blocking balls in the dirt. I mean, it's usually textbook from him, and that time it looked like he got caught a little bit in between, tried to backhand and short hop it, didn't get down, and the run scored. And I'll tell you, he's got a manager in Mike Matheny who appreciates how good he is, former teammates with the Cardinals, and struggles offensively. It looks like he needs a break. 1 ball 1 strike, infield in, pitch out. Last night the bunt from Duffy with a runner at third. Cardinals trying to catch him with another, and the count's 2-1.
Well, we asked Mike Matheny, how do you do that with your relationship with a guy that wants to play and catch that many innings? He says we have a frank conversation, and I look at what my eyes tell me and what he tells me, and he feels good even though he's not hitting at the plate.
Good pitch from Wacha, strike 2.
Up into these last 2 games, he said it's not affected him behind the plate, and that is his greatest asset. That is why he's so valuable to this organization. And yeah, a couple mistakes that you normally don't see out of Yadier Molina will start getting people to talk, and I'm sure reporters will start asking that question: is it time for him to get a breather?
Here's a swinging strike, and Duffy loses the bat, and a big strikeout for Wacha. 2 out. Third strikeout for Wacha tonight, and Duffy can't produce the run.
Now this is just a great changeup, I believe. The ball goes straight down, and that time Yachty made sure, as the bat goes about 110 feet.
Now the infield backs up. Runner at third is Panic, 2 out, a run in. A ball to Buster Posey.
Posey hasn't gotten going either. I mean, he had a nice stretch in Colorado where he got some power numbers going and some hits. He had a homer in Atlanta in that series, but when this guy gets going, it'll be a lot more fun for the Giants offensively. They just score enough to win because they're pitching so much better. Posey keeps that bat in the strike zone longer than most. I saw a number where his career batting average on the road, 328. That's impressive coming into this series.
2-0 the count. Panic at third, 2 out. Waka brings it. There's a strike. The story with the Cardinals is they wanted to come into this season and give Yadier Molina more of a break. They signed Brian Pena to be the backup, but Pena injured his knee in the spring, had to have surgery, and he's, I don't know, a week, maybe a little more away from coming back. Posey now a 2-2 count. So in the meantime, Eric Fryer has been the backup. He's done a nice job, but the bulk of the work has gone Molina's way, and you can see by plenty he leads Major League Baseball in innings caught, and it looks like it's starting to catch up to him.
Well, he's unbelievable, and again, Mike Matheny said he's never been around a guy who wants to win as much as Yadier Molina.
2-2 pitch. A strikeout from Waka. Big double in the inning by Panic, and a wild pitch scored a run. It's 4-0 Giants halfway through it on a Saturday night baseball night in America. Bottom of the 5th inning rolls in. 4-0 Giants lead, and for St. Louis it'll be Moss, Molina, Wong. If anybody gets on the pitcher's spot because of that, Tyler Lyons, a left-hander, is getting loose for St. Louis in their bullpen, and the first pitch is a 95-mile-per-hour strike to Brandon Moss. Moss singled his first time as he flipped one into right, and then was erased in a double play hit into by Molina. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Giants really do have a unique staff. I mean, you're talking about a guy here that turns his back to the batter. You got Cueto, who has 4 or 5 different deliveries. You've got Bumgarner, unorthodox, big old ox on the mound, crossing his body, throwing all arms all over the place. Jake Peavy, tons of emotion, energy. and then simple, quiet Matt Cain, who's currently on the DL.
They have a pitcher they like in Albert Suarez, who is really starting to make a name for himself in the bullpen. He got a start, pitched well, and will get another start in Cain's spot on Tuesday against Boston. Moss keeps the count 1-2.
So here's the problem for the Cardinals. As good as their offense has been, the first 3 innings are the only struggle for Samardzija. After that, 4 through 6 gets better, 7 through 9 even better at 0.75 ERA. And times through the order, which typically goes the other way, he gets better in his averages. All of it going down, so it tells you when he gets in rhythm and he's got his pitches working and mechanics under control, he gets better as the game goes.
2 balls, 2 strikes. We talked about the short outing his last time, just 5 innings against Atlanta on Monday. He had averaged 7 2/3 innings pitched his previous 5 starts, and it allowed a total of 6 runs. So he has settled in. 2-2 pitch. Full count.
Moss has certainly had the number of Samardzija. He come into the game betting 500, 10 for 20. I don't always keep score well. He got a hit, right? Yeah, he got a hit.
He did get a hit. Fly ball into right. He's trying to get on for the 2nd time tonight. And he launches one into right. Back at the wall. It is gone. Home run 4-1 here in the 5th. Number 11 for Moss. The average hasn't been too high, but after a disappointing year last year, he's got the home run stroke back.
Yeah, there's a lot of homers on the bench, Mike Matheny said. This has been an unprecedented pitch hitting type dream year for the Cardinals, but part-time player Moss has come in with a bunch of power, leads the team, and as I said, just sees the ball well off of Samardzija.
Here's Molina. Strike 1. So Brandon Moss, 11 home runs. The Cardinals, as a pinch hitting group, have hit 10 already, and that ties a franchise record. We're only in the first week of June. That's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, and Molina.
I tell you, Samardzija's stuff has been electric. He's thrown that fastball upwards of 95, 96, just missing on the corners, throwing that slider and split. Just got to a neutral count with Moss and challenged him with a 4-run lead. And solo homers aren't going to beat you.
Strike 2 on Molina. Cardinals on the board. 1 run on 4 hits. The home run by Moss. Now a 1-2 pitch to Molina.
Cannot feel good there. No protection does Molina have other than a little bit of an elbow guard. Guy that stands away from the plate looking to go the other way, and he'll pull one in, and this pitch was in right off the shin. I'm going to say it now. He's got the day off tomorrow. Irregardless.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Now they're going to give him a look and maybe try to freeze that. While we have a moment, Mike Matheny comes out along with a member of the athletic training staff. We'll give you StatCast powered by Amazon on the homer.
Yeah, you see the exit velocity. 100 usually produces pretty good distance. 374. Samardzija, as he knows. Give me the ball, please.
Three-run game, and Molina gets a nice hand. He is beloved here in St. Louis. What he means to this team. Trying to get back into a groove at the plate. The 1-2 from Samardzija. Molina spoils it. Hit .341 in April. But his overall average has been on the slide. Down to 261, and as we mentioned, 6 out of his last 62. Hitting under 100. Another 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
Ball had some pretty good cut on it for a fastball in the corner. See if he doesn't try sweeping the slider. He's gone hard pretty much the whole way. Watch this ball cut. Fastball away again.
2-2. The fly ball into right. Easy for Jarrett Parker. 1 away, and the batter will be Colton Wong. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Sprint. Switch and save today. Learn more at sprint.com/network. Well, now nobody on. Wong, who fouled out his first time. The Cardinals expect to get Johnny Peralta, their regular shortstop, back on Tuesday in Cincinnati. Here's one hard hit, but right at Duffy. And Wong, see his frustration all the way down the line. I think he turned his head to the dugout and yelled something. This guy just signed a 5-year deal at the beginning of the year, $25 million, and he's had a tough time keeping his spot at second base.
Well, that's just an outstanding way that the ball found the glove there. When you get that far in as Matt Duffy is, you got to just kind of put your glove in an area where you think and hope. That little skip short hop caught his glove, and I'm sure he's playing it off like, yep, I did. No big deal.
Here's Jeremy Hazelbaker, who's going to come off the bench. He's hit 7 home runs. Got off to a great start. Former Dodger farmhand was cut loose, added to the Cardinals organization last year, and hit his way onto this team out of spring training. Hit .317 in April, but just 160 in May. Waka's night is finished. He goes 5, allows 4 runs on 6 hits. One ball, 1 strike. Cardinal pinch hitters leading baseball in every category. 1-1 pitch. That's past Duffy and into left field, and Hazelbaker's on with 2 out. The top of the order will come up, represented by Matt Carpenter. It's another successful pinch hit appearance by the Cardinals.
That's why Mike Matheny was saying, you know, we were asking him, how do you keep everybody happy? You got so much more depth than you've ever had. He goes, there's a lot of hits on the bench, so guys don't mind it coming off the bench. And another one proved it right there for the Cardinals. He'd like to string a few more without getting 2 outs. Put some more stress on the opposing team. Getting some hits with 2 outs. Not enough before that.
Here's Matt Carpenter. He's struck out twice tonight. Had back-to-back 4-hit games at the beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday in Milwaukee. Strike 1. Just was talking about Peralta coming back after hand surgery. He was injured in spring training, so he was the all-star shortstop last year. He's going to come back. The Cardinals love what Aledmus Diaz is doing at short. They want to leave him there. That means Peralta will play third. That means this man, Matt Carpenter, will go to first base or second base on a regular basis when Peralta's back, and that means less playing time for somebody else, be it Matt Adams at first or Colton Wong at second. Say nothing of Jed Jerko, who the Cardinals traded for over the offseason, has some pop, second baseman, but he is way down on the depth chart.
Yeah, they may fall prey to got a lot of good options, but nothing stands out type deal. And what I mean by that is they all do what they're capable of doing. They're a playoff team. They got Alex Reyes in the minor leagues. Don't know when and if he'll get called up in the second half. That could help from the pitching standpoint. Do they need to add a pen, arm? Well, not necessarily. So they may be stuck a little bit from an opportunity to get some moves made if they're relevant in the second half. But they certainly have something to package if somebody blows their doors up with a great opportunity, whether it be a starting pitcher or a proven bat. They've just got a lot of pieces that have to work together. They just need their starters to kick it in.
Yeah, there are a lot of pieces, but they don't really fit.
Right.
Carpenter fouls another one away. As you said, they're all talented ball players, but they've got one too many guys in the outfield, and they've got two too many guys on the infield when Peralta comes back. And a lot of mixing and matching for Mike Matheny. He's had 49 different lineups already, and that's going to grow even more when Peralta comes back.
Yeah, I call them feel-good options or feel-good stories, and at some point you got to make tough decisions, and you're going to have to say this is the direction we're going, and we got to play this guy because we got to get him going.
Here's a throw down to first, and Hazelbaker gets back.
So everyone wants depth and everyone wants these problems, but you want the players to make it easy for you. Hey, this guy's hitting 400 or this guy's hitting 350. We're playing him. We're riding him. But then that means you got to sit somebody else or send somebody down who's hitting 600.
Or trade somebody like a Colton Wong, and I'm telling you, they would regret that. That's just my opinion. A guy who can run, who can't hit leadoff on this team because Matt Carpenter wants to hit leadoff, and that's where he's been at his most productive. He's been an all-star. Certainly deserves to hit where he wants to hit if he's better in one spot. That's off the bag. Fair ball. Hazelbaker will go to third. Carpenter into second with a double. And it's second and third, 2 out here in the 5th. Carpenter loves that leadoff spot. He's not the prototypical leadoff hitter. Hasn't even attempted a stolen base, but he just hits.
Unique batting style, no batting gloves. Great story on how he got here and turned himself into a fantastic player and one of the elite third basemen. We've got some good ones in this game.
Well, it's Aledmys Diaz now with a chance to, with a hit, make this a 1-run game.
Cardinals have been excellent with runners in scoring position, whether it's no outs or 2 outs. They lead in every category coming into this series.
Ball 1. Diaz 0 for 2. He's driven in 26. Has hit 7 home runs, and that earned him a promotion from the number 8 spot to the number 2 spot in Mike Matheny's lineup. Just one final word about Colton Wong. He's got the ability, when it all clicks in, to have power and speed. And he's got great range at second base. That'd be a tough guy to give up on, somebody they just signed to a, I think, team-friendly 5-year deal. Remains to be seen what will happen there. Diaz tied up with ball 2.
That's a great pitch. Even though it didn't get the result that Samardzija wanted, it got him from being so aggressively attacking the ball. So now he'll think twice. You do have a base open, even though you don't want to face Holiday with the bases loaded. It does affect your pitch selection when you're behind the hitter 2-0.
Tying run at the plate in a 4-1 game. Three and 0.
Be a gutsy call on a 3-0 with a young kid. Give him the green light. Let's say no chance.
See if Diaz is cutting it loose or taking. Here it comes from Samardzija. Oh. He is ripping down the line. Tie game. innings for the rookie, and it's a 4-4 game out of nowhere.
I got to hand it to Mike Matheny. That's a gutsy call. Usually a veteran player or one that's been able to handle a 3-0 call. But he pretty much felt the fastball was coming. He let it go, and it was a big-time rewarded 3-run homer.
That gets Waka off the hook. And here's the 3-0 pitch, and that thing was smoked.
It was, and it tried to hook at the end. It was hit so hard at that last moment, and that foul pole's not that wide. So maybe exactly what the Cardinals needed. For 2 days, the fan base here has been flat with a close game yesterday that went awry in the 9th. Now some energy back in that dugout, and certainly for that team that needed it. 2 outs.
Pinch hit by Hazelbaker, then a double by Carpenter off the first base bag, and a 3-0 pitch for a 3-run home run by Aledmys Diaz. Strike 2. Tonight's starter for St. Louis is off the hook. He's gone the 5 innings if the Cardinals were to get the lead here in the 5th. He'd be in line for a win. This thing turned in an instant. Bad hop, good play, Duffy. The inning is over, but there is life in St. Louis and in that home dugout. And it's number 36, the rookie, on 3-0. Hits one off the fair pole. Tied at 4. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Falcon Tires on the Pulse and by Cialis. New game as we go into the 6th inning. 4-4 is the score, and the Cardinals have now out-hit the Giants 7-6. Aledmys Diaz is 25. Turns 26 on the 1st of August. He signed a 4-year major league contract with the Cardinals when they dipped into the Cuban market on March 9th of 2014. He resides in West Palm with his wife, and that's where the Cardinals train for spring training. And he's a guy that never showed this kind of power. He's got 8 home runs in the big leagues already. He hit 10 at Double-A last year, hit 13 overall. But he's got pop in his bat. He didn't play in 2013 and played 5 years prior to that in Villa Clara. And if you consider what he's been able to accomplish because of what he's done the first 2 months, he is basically forcing a position change.
Yes.
for Johnny Peralta to keep the 25-year-old in the lineup and let him take over at short.
Well, according to the stats, that's the first time he has even had a swing at 3-0. No recorded at bat where he put the ball in play or made an out. So that's 1 for 1 with a 3-run homer. Cardinals only did it one time. They only had one hit as a team. So what a great call to let him let it go at 3-0.
This is hit hard on a line to Adams. Give you the StatCast on the homer, sponsored by Amazon.
Well, this ball is a frozen rope, and 107 miles an hour, 426. Almost looked like it was still going up, and it got out in such a hurry. It gave him time to enjoy that trot. And as the Cardinals do, they throw water. They all stand in a line, give everybody the 5s, the 10s. Splash down.
You saw Carlos Martinez, the one throwing the water on him. He gets the ball tomorrow against Jake Peavy, who was our guest from the dugout in the 4th. Peavy's coming off a win in Atlanta. Carlos Martinez is coming off a 6-0 win and said it was the best he's felt all year. 8 innings, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. As Crawford, who has a double and a triple, is up on the count here against Tyler Lyons, 2-0.
Well, this is a huge stretch and a huge series for St. Louis. I mean, I know you don't start thinking about All-Star break right about now, but they've got a tough schedule going in. And I really figured out, as I do every time I look at teams and kind of do the math, if they can get to 6 games over 500 by the All-Star break, they're in great shape. I know the Cubs are dominating, so you don't worry about the Cubs. You look at the teams that are ahead of you, and you got to get in second place to secure or get closer to the wild card. Only 2 games behind Pittsburgh, but they've got a chance to make up in their last 9 games some pretty good ground before that All-Star break between the Pirates and the Brewers.
Here's one down toward the end of the bat into center and handled by Piscotty, 2 out.
But they've got to go on a pretty tough road trip. They got to go to Seattle. They got to play the Royals 4 times. So they've got the Astros. They've got an opportunity if they go 500 on that road trip. And again, players are never going to tell you they think about that thing, but they look at the schedule. They look at a lot of things, because you're only human. When you're not in the position you want to be in, you start figuring and doing the math. Well, what do we need to get to? What rate do we have to get to that number that's going to equate for playoffs?
Batter is Blanco, took a ball. Ken Rosenthal has more on that. Kenny?
Well, guys, they've got to start beating teams with winning records. Cardinals have not done that this year. 6-17 against teams above 500. That includes 3-9 against the Pirates and Cubs.
And add to that the Cardinals have had to slug their way to wins. They have only 1 victory this year when they've scored 3 runs or fewer. So they've struggled against the better teams. They've just bludgeoned the bad teams, and there are plenty of them in the National League. And they are 1 game over 500. Line drive caught by Carpenter sends us into the bottom of the 6th. This ball hit right on the screws. 4-4 game, Cards and Giants. First pitch is swung on by Piscotty into right, gone. Cardinals lead for the first time tonight. They've hit 3 home runs. Home run number 7 for Stephen Piscotty.
Go on a limb and say he's the smartest player on their club, by the way. You've seen his resume of where he graduated in Stanford.
I knew Stanford. I didn't know where in the class.
Renewable energy and climate change is part of his degrees. He got a degree last year, and the climate change rained earlier today. I wonder if he knew that going into that at bat.
Here's Adams unloading one into right. 6-4. It's a 4-homer game for St. Louis. They've got 76 on the year. And the team that leads the National League in runs scored has put up 6 over the last 1+ innings.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. It's not played like football where emotion can take you through so much, but the emotion of this game certainly changed on that 3-run home run, and you could feel the energy back in this stadium. And for Jeff Samardzija is one he's going to want to forget. He had this game completely in control until those last 3 pitches.
Dominating through 4. The Cardinals got 4 in the 5th. 2 more here in the 6th. George Contos takes over. Piscotty, first pitch into right. And Matt Adams goes deep to right behind him. 6-4 in the 6th. George Contos takes over here for Samardzija. Fly ball into shallow left center field. Blanco glides in to grab it. One pitch from Contos. One out here in the 6th inning. Our Budweiser game summary. Aledmus Diaz tied it with a 2-out, 3-run home run on a 3-0 pitch from Samardzija. An inning that was started with a home run by Brandon Moss, and then Samardzija, who had allowed 5 home runs in 76 innings pitched coming into tonight's game, allows 4 over the last 9 at bats as Piscotty and Adams, those two guys, have gone deep here in the 6th inning, and you can almost read the mind of Samardzija, like, what in the heck just happened?
Yeah, unfortunately been there too many times. I mean, I don't even know what this statement means, but it turned on a dime. I use it all the time. I don't know what it means, but it did turn on a dime. I'm just repeating what I've heard, and I've been there where you're just cruising, and next thing you know, one little altered pitch or kind of surprising pitch, a 3-0 pitch, tied the game up.
There's the 0-1 to Molina, who's 0 for 2. In the air to center. Span is on the move. Back to grab it. 2 out.
Wow, did Span get a great jump on that ball? He's playing kind of shallow. Giants took a chance on Span. It's been a great move because of the recovering from hip surgery. You see a little gray in the beard. I like it. But man, did he get a good jump on that ball that Molina squared up.
He always seems to be good for a good quote, too, after the game. He has fun playing this game, and it shows with the stuff he says to the media. Such a big addition to this team. Good leadoff hitter. Here is Colton Wong, takes a strike. Wong hit the ball hard, but grounded out to third. His last time up, he's 0 for 2. 1 for his last 19. Trying to say, hey, remember me. In the hole in a blink, 0-2, and George Contos has done a nice job of obviously getting 2 quick outs here, but becoming more of a factor in the bullpen as that evolving bullpen for Bruce Bochy has a much different look than in the last few years.
Yeah, that's for sure. Contos came in last night, did a nice job. 1-2-3 inning.
Here's his 0-2. Just missed the outside corner.
I just like the way his action on the mound looks like a repeatable delivery. He's a guy that could eat up some innings. Most staffs are built now with just power, 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 and not that long guy, or not the guy that can eat up innings when the starter doesn't get through most of the game.
That's into shallow center. Span won't get there, and on for the first time tonight is Colton Wong. And that's baseball. Hit a rocket to third his last time for an out. Gets one off the end of the bat that falls into center for a hit here in the 6th.
Well, you see the pitch, and Wong's got that longer swing. But this time off the end of the bat, Span could not get to that ball. And another good jump, though. Got to respect Wong's power, so that's why he was playing so deep. And another man who's got a lot of power, Mr. Grichuk.
Been a slow start with the average for Randall Grichuk. He's hit 7 home runs, and he bats for Tyler Lyons as Sun Won-Oh is getting ready for St. Louis in their pen. South Korean-born right-hander. Grichuk fouls it back and out of play.
Now, you wouldn't teach your young lad to copy this batting stance, but it works for Grichuk. He's got kind of that abbreviated laying the bat off, short stroke. Mike Matheny loves the power, and he thinks that as this guy matures in the league, he's got a chance to hit a lot of home runs. You watch the bat kind of laid off right there, just kind of a short, quick to the ball kind of stroke that he's hoping to square up a fastball.
Former member of the Angels organization, traded to St. Louis in the David Freese deal. Peter Borges was the other player involved. Borges now in Philly, and Grichuk supposed to be the everyday center fielder here for St. Louis. Flies it into right, back at the track to make the grab as Jarrett Parker, in the inning ends on the fly ball off the bat of Grichuk. It was Piscotty first, and then Matt Adams to give the Cardinals a 6-4 lead as they knock out Samardzija into the 7th. We go back after this from our local sponsors. Baseball, sponsored by T-Mobile. Cardinals 4 times have gone back-to-back with the home run ball this season. Piscotty first, and then Matt Adams to chase Samardzija, make it 6-4, and now we're into the 7th. Seonwon Oh, the right-hander, South Korean-born, 33 years old, deals, and a pop-up left side off the bat of Jarrett Parker. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 7th. Let's get a game break and check in with Kevin Burkhardt. What they're doing, it seems to look easy because they're doing it without pieces that are really tearing the cover off the ball. We talked about Hayward, their big addition to their lineup, but it seems to be somebody different every game, and it's the depth of that Cubs roster that has already come into play after they lost Schwarber, their power hitting outfielder catcher. Here's Gillespie, the pinch hitter, and he takes one down from the count evens, the ball and a strike.
Well, there's so much hype going into the season. Everybody had them predicted to win, and I'll tell you, they're going so good that it makes you think that like they got a bad schedule, they got an easy schedule. They're just beating everybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter who they play. So they're doing it with all facets, and Joe Madden again pulling his magic.
Fly ball into left. Holiday back for out number 2. We showed you graphically, John, the defensive changes the Cardinals add to their outfield coverage capabilities, with Grichuk staying in the game and now playing center. That moves Piscotty over to right. Moss comes in to the infield to play first with O on the mound. So a number of changes to add to the defense, and with 2 out, nobody on, the batter will be Denard Span.
And talking to some of the hitters, I said, give me the scouting report on O. I'm going to keep it clean. they said, oh, no.
Tough.
Yeah, they do not pick up the ball very well. He did an unbelievable job here last night. Got 2 guys on and then struck out the meat of their order 3 guys in a row. He's got an electric fastball that they just don't pick up, a good split, and a pretty darn good slider. So he'd been filthy for the Cardinals.
Right side, and Wong can't make the play. Span is on with 2 out here in the 7th. Hard hit. Wong got there, but could not corral it, and the tying run will bat in the person of Joe Panik.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a base hit because it was hit so hard. What's the reaction here? Gets on him pretty quick, even though off the heel of the glove.
Well, they've called it an
they
error.
Changed it. They went from base hit up early to an error.
It's E4 and the 6th error of the year for Wong, and the inning continues for Panik.
That's great. I do my score book with a pen.
I'll teach you.
I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to be stubborn. And if he gets this next out, they'll change it back to a base hit.
Span is on. Tying run at the plate in Joe Panik. He has hit 6 home runs. Giants have hit the majority of their home runs this season on the road. It's tough to get the ball out of AT&T Park as O gets strike 1. 80 saves the last 2 years for the Hanshin Tigers in Japan, after he racked up 277 saves in 9 years in South Korea. If the Cardinals ever needed to make a change with their closer, O would be a candidate to slide in there. Trevor Rosenthal walking 3 hitters last night in a 2-1 game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Panik is 2 for 3. That is out of play, left side, strike 2.
Well, talking to Mike Matheny, he said, man, this guy's a bulldog. Through the interpreter, I told him that he needed a day off. He was grounded, that he was trying to come up with a way, and he did not like it. He said, I've thrown 250 pitch bullpen before. I've thrown 3,000. He went and all this thing. He loves to pitch. He wants the ball. Mike Matheny loved it, and he's got a guy down there he can count on.
Cardinals signed O to a 2-year deal, and he is, I think, better than even they hoped. But he did a good job of scouting him. That's pulled foul. A nice play down there by that guy, taking bows. High fives. He might have saved somebody some dental work, so why not? Tying run at the plate for the Giants here in the 7th. 6-4 game. Good play by Molina. 2-2.
There's the split there. He hasn't been quite as sharp. You would think against the left-hander here with 2 strikes, he would like to go to that pitch, either a split or a slider. This one definitely handcuffs Molina. I say he goes right back to that pitch. Try to make it a little bit better over the middle of the plate. Let it fade away. Comes
on 2-2. Panik grounds to Wong, down on a knee. Inning over, time to stretch in St. Louis. St. Louis has scored 6 unanswered, lead by 2. Bringing you greater coverage of today's game. And by Lowe's. As the top of the order gets ready to go here in the 7th, the reminder: play ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. To learn more, go to playball.org. Right-hander takes over Derek Law, third pitcher of the night. Contos went 1, allowed no runs, 1 hit. All 6 runs scoring against the starter Samardzija, thanks to the strength of 4 St. Louis home runs. Carpenter hit a double, scored a run in that 4-run 5th, and he grounds 1 to second for Panic. With Aledmys Diaz coming up, it is the Gatorade Frost cool under pressure moment on 3-0. A 3-run shot to tie the game at 4 in the 4-run 5th. And the first time swinging on a 3-0 pitch in the big leagues. Diaz was sent out by the Cardinals in spring training when Peralta got hurt in the final game. Injured his hand, had surgery. They called Diaz back and added Ruben Tejada, former New York Met, who has since been released. And Diaz made the most of the opportunity. He is the Cardinal shortstop now, and at least the plan is at this point for the next while to come.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. And he's just made some young mistakes that Mike Matheny said he'll grow into and become that shortstop. He's got a lot of range, made some errors early, and everyone wanted to kind of pick on that. But, man, his bat sure does play. And the athleticism that he has will be a pretty good asset for the Cardinals.
He is on again with a base hit into right with 1 out here in the 7th.
Well, another pitcher for the Giants out of the windup that turns that hip, herky-jerky kind of delivery, but pretty good stuff. He stays on this breaking ball. See how it backs up? So it allows him to stay in the middle of the plate and not have to do too much and go with it. Whenever you hit a breaking ball, you got to wait a little bit longer to activate your hands, put the foot down. And I'll tell you what, this guy looks like a veteran when he's at the plate.
Pulled the home run to left, goes to right on that breaking ball that sat there, and now the batter is Holiday. Matt Holliday 1 for 3, single to right his first time. He's grounded out twice since.
Matt Holliday has, even though getting up there in age, been in a nice little stretch at the plate. Typically a guy as strong as him, you don't want to get his hands extended. You don't want anything out over the plate. So you try to pound him in if you can, and you don't want any off-speed pitches over the middle of the plate. And he's going to probably throw into that Big Mac land that another guy made famous here.
1 ball, no strikes, 1 on, 1 out. That gets away, but not far enough as Posey knocked it down. Strike 2. There's Big Mac land. Something that carried over from Busch Stadium 2.
Yeah, I had to stop watching BP, by the way, because it looked like ping pong balls going up there. He made it look routinely easy. Mr. McGuire.
I said strike 2. It's 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 1 out. Diaz held on by Belt. That is high, 2-1.
It's funny when you play with a guy, you notice things you would never notice when you play against a guy. So trying to pitch against a certain guy like Matt Holliday, like I tried to do, and the fear of God he puts in you when he's extended those big old arms and hitting the ball all over the ballpark. But then when you get a chance to play with him and you see him more often, you see what he can and can't do from other pitchers, and it makes you kick yourself. Man, what was I thinking? Spend a lot of energy trying to get him out in a way that was actually to his advantage.
how best would you go after Holiday? Try to tie him up inside?
Yeah, fastballs in and up.
2-2. Shoots that one foul.
Is right there. That just doesn't allow him to get extended. Now he'll hit it if you keep in there, but the one area he's not able to catch up to, or at least lately, is the ball up with any kind of velocity. This ball's in, going in towards his hand. He just fights it off. Colorado was not a good place for me or anybody to face Matt Holliday. Then he went to the graveyard of hitters in Oakland and got rescued, came here, and he's been lights out since.
Runner at first, 1 out. St. Louis up by 2 in the 7th, and Holiday strikes out. With that, the batter will be Piscotty, who homered his last time up. Nobody sees sports quite the way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do. The brains to know and the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason as they team up for FS1's new daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourself. It all starts Monday, June 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So good luck to those guys as that venture begins on the 13th. The week of the U.S. Open. Piscotty, strike 1.
Well, he did it so quick last time up, I couldn't get into some of these big words that I had to write down because I certainly couldn't remember. Geothermal, hydro, nuclear energy, renewable energy, fusion energy. This is the field that this guy was into. And certainly if he wasn't playing baseball, he would probably be intrigued by that at Stanford, which he went to get his degree in.
So he's got that to look forward to whenever the day comes and he's finished, which doesn't appear to be anytime soon. He is a good young hitter who lines to center and sends us into the 8th. Who's coming up? Duffy, and then Buster Posey, and then Brandon Belt. Giants bat in the 8th, down 2. The Grip the Moment, sponsored by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. The play he made on the foul hit early in the ball game by Colton Wong back in the 3rd. He's made 2 good defensive plays, both on Colton Wong. Cardinals make more changes. Now it's Garcia in at third. Segrist is pitching. Carpenter at first, and Brandon Moss is playing his third position. Started in right, went to first. Now he's in left, and Segrist takes over and finds strike one against Duffy.
Segrist, left-hander, has opposite splits, meaning he does better against right-handers than left-handers. That's about to change, his manager said.
There's the breaking ball. That's the reason for it. The count 0-2.
Exactly, and he's come along with that pitch because he could absolutely wing it. The fastball gets way up there, but his secondary pitches were something that was lacking. At the angle at which the right-handers just don't see the fastball for some reason.
That's in on the hands of Duffy. Meanwhile, Holiday's out of the ball game, and the pitcher will bat in the number 3 spot. Garcia coming into the game will hit in the 5th spot. That means he will lead off in the bottom of this 8th. Here's the 0-2. Late swing and a foul. You know, we talked about all those different moving parts for Mike Matheny. This is where it really comes in handy, where you can move guys all over the place and you can hide the pitcher in his spot in the order and add to your defense, trying to protect the lead late in the game.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the deepest bench. He's never had a bench like this.
Here's the 0-2.
We see that little coil. He hides the ball so well. Right-handed hitter from the third base side of the rubber is where Segrist is, and you're going to watch when he goes to home plate. Here he coils right here, and the hitter doesn't see the ball right until it's on him. Tremendous late life and velocity.
To the right side, Wong a couple of steps to his left. 1 out. And Duffy is 0 for 4. Talked about him coming in hitting 130 on the road, and there's the delivery of Segrist.
Yeah, he goes downhill and beats the hitter right there, and that's what happens. You trust your fastball, you mix in a breaking ball just to keep him honest.
Buster Posey, John, loves this ballpark. A career .365 hitter in this stadium that opened in 2006. That is the highest by any player that's walked through the door here at the third version of what's called Busch Stadium. Strike one.
He's just become the quiet face of baseball. He doesn't do anything flashy, but all he is Mr. Consistent, and the heartbeat of that team as well. All-star catcher, I'm sure, again this year, along with maybe Molina.
Career high 150 games last year. Over 620 plate appearances. And he is a guy who has been a Rookie of the Year. He's been an MVP. He's been a 3-time world champion. No coincidence that this organization started winning the big trophy when he arrived at the big league level. That is just outside, ball 1.
What a great pitch. Posey will be given the day off more than likely tomorrow behind the plate. This is just a good pitch that Posey wasn't going to be able to hit even if he knew it was coming, so he benefited from the ball call.
And now the 1-2. 2-2. So Segrist is giving these big league hitters another pitch to think about. The improved breaking ball, which he has shown now to both Duffy and Posey. Fastball away on 2-2. To third, Garcia, tough chance just into the game, 2 out. Had to wait on an in-between hop, made a good play. Vote today, vote tomorrow, vote for your 2016 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Vote at MLB.com/vote and catch all of the excitement. It's the 87th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 12th, live right here on Fox.
People in Chicago are voting.
I'll say the entire infield minus the catcher, which is where Yadier Molina is leading the vote, and in the outfield with Fowler. But Rizzo, Zobrist, Russell and Bryant. Dexter Fowler as well. 1-0 pitch now to Brandon Belt. Right up the middle. Wong makes the play and got the out. What a play by Colton Wong. And he reminds his team what he can do with a glove. What range. Takes a hit away from Brandon Belt, shows the arm. And it's a 1-2-3 7th. Colton Wong take a bow. Bottom of the 8th inning, and Greg Garcia, who's done nothing but hit when he's had the opportunity, both in a lineup and off the bench, has basically forced the hand of the organization. So when the Cardinals released Tejada instead of sending Greg Garcia back to the minor leagues, and he's taken over at third base. Made a good play in the top of this inning, leads it off in the bottom half. 6-4 ball game. Law misses low, the count 1-2. There's a man named Dave Garcia who grew up across the river in East St. Louis. He's 95 years old. He's Greg's grandfather and one of the most beloved figures in the game of baseball in a long time. Here's one into right. Easy for Jarrett Parker. Greg's grandfather Dave managed the Cleveland Indians and the California Angels. And he is awfully proud of his grandson Greg, who is the first out here in the bottom of the 8th.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to do what this young man has done. You hit at the big league level, although be small sample size, and then you get sent down and you got to come back. You got to rev those engines up again and try to stay locked in.
He can play anywhere. Valuable guy to have. First pitch, a strike to Brandon Moss. It was his home run off Jeff Samardzija in the 5th inning leading off that cracked the door open. And then the Cardinals came up with 3 more, capped on a 2-out 3-run shot by Aledmus Diaz, their rookie shortstop.
And the other thing that's difficult in this game is players are better when they're familiar with the pitcher, with the hitter, with the environment. When you see guys you don't know, it's a tougher game. Oh man, that's a tough position.
They don't come any tougher than the 2 guys on display here tonight, Posey and Molina. See where this got him. Looked like right on that hinge. that my former partner Tim McCarver used to talk about in that shin guard. There's a hinge in there, and the ball can hit between the plastic padding and really leave a mark.
More power to everybody who plays. That's a fast way to get to the big leagues as a catcher, no doubt, but more power to you when you're behind that plate. Pitchers always kid with the catchers. All you do is suggest pitches. We're the ones that really call them, but they're a valuable commodity when you're working on the same page, that's for sure.
Moss, a 2-2 count. Home plate umpire Marvin Hudson took a moment, went out between the plate and mound after that bouncer got Posey, and then patted him on the back and said, "Go get him." Here's a 2-2 from Law.
I mean, you just think about some of the great clubs and some of the great teams when they get production out of the catcher spot. That is a luxury. That is huge. And what Posey has done and what Molina has done over the course of their careers, it's why they're an elite group. And Brian McCann did that for the Atlanta Braves for a long time now with the Yankees.
This one flied into left. Long run. Blanco at the track. Can't get it. And Brandon Moss is going to chug into third base with a one-out triple. What a night he's had. Hard to see if it went off the glove of Blanco or if he missed it altogether. Looked like he got there.
Right in that corner right there, right at the last minute. Not sure where the wall is. The track, of course, you can feel with your spikes, but you're still leery of that chain link fence / wall corner that he goes after. And I don't know if Moss is sure right here, and then turns on the burners.
Made it to third without a play, and he's there with one out for Yadier Molina.
Yadi's going to be sitting on one particular pitch in this at bat.
Might have just gotten it. Ooh. And you can see his reaction. He wants that pitch back.
Yeah, he's good at doing that throughout the game, setting up a pitcher, acting like he doesn't care early, taking all the way, and then, man, just his pitch.
Bearing down as a pickoff throw to third, which you don't see very often, does not result in an out. Meanwhile, you talk about getting production from your catcher. It was Tony La Russa when Yadier Molina took over as his catcher. La Russa was quoted as saying Yadier Molina could hit 0 and he'd play every day. That's how good he is defensively. That's high and tight.
Well, the talk was back in the day when he signed that big contract, everyone's like, man, you signing that contract for a guy who all he does is play defense? Well, after that, and after Pujols left, he picked up his offense to make that contract not only worth it, but an MVP type candidate.
And make the contract very club friendly.
Yes.
As opposed to, it's great money, but he is so valuable. 1-1 pitch is grounded left side. No play at the plate as Moss was off with a crack of the bat. It's 7-4 on an RBI ground out.
That's just great execution by Moss, getting a secondary lead and taking off. And then Duffy couldn't get the ball out of his glove right away. Watch this, takes off, and Duffy, just that hesitation right there is all it takes. Infield in, chances for the fielder to react quickly and make a play is milliseconds to throw him out at home.
Now Wong, who just made that good defensive play, flies to left. And the inning is over. Ninth inning will roll in. So will Trevor Rosenthal try and get the save for Tyler Lyons. 7 unanswered runs put up in a 7-4 Cardinal lead. Service delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Good thing about the game of baseball, at least at this level, is you get right back in there. And here's the numbers. Here are the numbers from last night for Trevor Rosenthal. He walked 3 batters. All 3 came around to score and turned a tight 2-1 game into an easy 5-1 win for the Giants. And he has 2 quick strikes on Brandon Crawford.
Yeah, sometimes in this role you don't get enough work, and he's a guy that the more they work, the better he is in throwing strikes. And when he gets in trouble, it's because he doesn't throw strikes. Straight over the top, smaller version of Michael Wacha with a firmer fastball.
A strikeout starts the 9th in a 7-4 game. Tonight's telecast sponsored by Bud Light. Raise one to right now. And by T-Mobile, bringing you greater coverage of today's game. The start by Wacha. 5 innings, 4 runs, 6 hits. Shutout pitching from the bullpen. Lyons, who's in line for the win. Segrist. Now Rosenthal. Ball 1 to Gregor Blanco.
He's got a short arm over the top, but firm fastball. You see 98. Changeup for the swing and a miss strikeout to Crawford.
There's a strike. Last year Rosenthal set a St. Louis record with his 48 saves, was 48 of 51. Despite the hiccup last night, he is 8 for 9 in save chances so far in 2016. Chopper to short. Diaz, one of the heroes tonight for St. Louis, makes the play 2 down.
You know, the hard part about this role that people don't understand, there is a difference when you come into a save situation versus like last night, down 2-1, and in the 9th at home, you're not going to get a save situation. So Mike Matheny's trying to keep it close. He needed the work, and that adrenaline just wasn't there, and he had 3 walks, and it didn't turn out well. Well, you've seen a total turnabout, 3-run lead, pouring in strikes.
The rookie, the last hope for the Giants in a 3-run game, and the crowd to its feet behind Trevor Rosenthal. Giants came into this game having won 18 of their last 22 and led 4-0 after 4 and were rolling behind Jeff Samardzija. A home run by Brandon Moss started the scoring in the 5th. 3 more home runs would follow. It's a 7-4 game. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jarrett Parker. Two and 1.
Well, you often don't have at this point in the season where you mark the calendar and go, remember this game, as if this could be the game that kind of pole vaults a team like the Cardinals to a better stretch.
That's on the inside corner. 2-2. Cardinals trying to get to 2 games over 500. They started this game 11.5 out of first behind the red-hot Cubs, who beat Arizona earlier today. 2-2. Game over. Cardinals win it 7-4. And then split the first 2 games of this weekend 3-game series. A rare 2-hour 39-minute game that saw 11 runs total score, the last 7 of them by the home team. Home runs by Moss, Diaz, Piscotty, and Adams. Lyons gets the win with 1 shutout inning of relief. Rosenthal the save, and Samardzija gets his 2nd straight loss. Seven to 4 the final for John Smoltz and for Kenny Rosenthal. As Trevor Rosenthal gets the final 3 outs, we say so long. The studio coming up. Kevin Burkhardt on the other side of the break. Cardinals win it. Good night.